looking. Now with Valentine's Day just around the corner, I thought it would be really fun for this week's video tutorial to show you how to make this lips or kiss themed cake. So we've got a buttercream cake with this really fun text running all the way around. We've got sprinkles and a coloured drip, and I'm going to be showing you how to make the really fun lips or kiss cake topper. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing I need to do is prepare my cake. Now I've already started to stack and cover my cake in a thin layer of buttercream. So I've just added a crumb coat onto the outside, and all this has done is just lock in any loose crumbs. I can then go in with my final layer of my buttercream on the outside. So all I'm using is a light pink American buttercream, and I've coloured this using some of the Sweet Stamp pink gel colour. Now the cake that I'm using is a 5-inch cake, and once all of my layers have been stacked up, I get a height of just over 5.5 inches. Now I know that I'm jumping in with a cake that has already been stacked and covered in a crumb coat, so I will put a link in the description below to another video of mine showing you how to get to this stage if you want to check that out. So I'm just going in, adding that layer of buttercream onto the outside of my cake, and I'm going around just smoothing the sides. I can then go in on the top just with my offset spatula, just bringing the buttercream from the outside edge into the center just to give me a nice sharp edge. Once I'm happy with how my cake is looking, I want to place my cake in the fridge. Now I'm actually going to chill my cake for a little bit longer than I usually would, as I want that buttercream super firm so that we can add the decoration onto the outside. So I'm going to pop it in the fridge for around about an hour. Okay, so I've taken my cake out of the fridge, and the first thing that I'm going to do is just transfer it over onto my cake board. So for this I'm just using an 8-inch masonite board. Now that our cake has been chilled in the fridge, I want to add some text onto the side, and to do this I'm going to use the new Sweet Stamp embossers. Now just like their letter sets when you create stamps to use on your cakes, these already have the letters attached. So it's just one embosser that you can push onto the side of your cake or into your cake board, and these come with lots of different words and phrases. So the one I'm going to be using has XOXO, which I thought was very fitting when the cake is going to have a kiss on the top. Now before I push in my stamp, I'm actually going to take a larger fluffy brush with a small amount of corn flour and just dust this in the area that I want to push that stamp into. This is going to stop any of that buttercream pulling off when I remove the stamp. Now if you didn't have any of these embossers, you could also use the Sweet Stamp letter sets as well, just creating your own stamps to use on the side of the cake. Now if at any time you're finding as you push that stamp in your buttercream is getting very soft, you can just pop your cake back in the fridge just for it to firm up slightly before you carry on. Now I do actually have a 10% off discount code that you can use across all of the Sweet Stamp products on their website. All you have to do is enter Cakes by Linz at the checkout, and I will put all the details in the description below. You then just want to dust off any loose corn flour around the bottom of your cake or on the side of your cake. So now we've got that XOXO all over the cake. I want to paint it to add some colour. So in order to create a paint, I'm actually going to be using 2 metallic luster dusts, and these ones are by Sweet Sticks. So I'm going to be using the hot pink and also the circus red. So this is just going to give me a slightly darker, reddier pink. To that luster dust, I'm just adding a small amount of dipping solution. So this is going to turn it into an edible paint. Now I will put a link to another video in the description below where I go through 6 different things that you can add to luster dust to create an edible paint if you didn't want to use dipping solution. I can then take a small paintbrush, and I'm going to use this edible paint just to paint inside those embossed letters. And again, if at any time your buttercream is becoming too soft and you're seeing a lot of brush marks as you paint the letters, just pop the cake in the fridge for a few minutes just for that buttercream to firm up so that you can carry on. Once they've all been painted, there we have the XOXOs all over the cake. Around the bottom of my cake, I'm actually going to add some sprinkles. So these are the baby doll sprinkles by Halo Sprinkles, which you can also buy on the Sweet Stamp website. And these just have pink and red sprinkles with little hearts to match our cake. Now, because that buttercream is quite firm, I'm going to start by just brushing on a small amount of edible glue just around the bottom of my cake. And I don't want those sprinkles to come up too far. I'm just coming up around 1 centimetre. So I'm just going around pushing them on with a spoon, and with some of those slightly larger ones, I'm just pushing those in by hand. I can then brush off any excess sprinkles, and we're now ready to add a drip to the top. So in order to create the drip, first of all, I've got some white candy melt. So I've got 50 grams, and I've got 50 ml of double cream. So I'm creating a ganache with a ratio of 1:1. Now, in order to colour my drip, I'm going to be using some of the Sweet Stamp chalk colour in pink. So this is an oil-based food colour, and if you do colour a lot of chocolate, the Sweet Stamp chalk colours come in such big bottles. So this is an 190 gram bottle. Now, just as I would when making ganache, I'm actually going to heat up my double cream and pour this over the top of those candy buttons. Now, I've actually heated up my double cream in the microwave for around 45 seconds, but just make sure that when you remove the container, I've heated mine up in a glass container, so it can be extremely hot. And I'm just going to stir that through just to give us a nice drip consistency. Now, I'm doing this with candy melts, but you can also use white chocolate too. I'm going to add some of that pink colour. So I just want to build it up so I've got a nice pink that will match my cake. Now, because we've created it a little bit like ganache, if you do find that your drip is a little bit opaque when you add that pink, you can just add a small amount of white, which will just help you get quite a block colour. I'm then going to add this into a piping bag, and you want to make sure that it's cooled down before you add it onto your buttercream cake, just so it won't melt any of that buttercream. Now, before I add it onto my cake, I'm actually going to test it on the side of a glass. If it is too thin and just drips down too fast, then you can just leave it a little bit more and thicken up. Now, I'm going to start by going around the edge of my cake. Now, I don't want it to drip down too much over the top of this text, so I'm going to keep it quite short, and then when we do have a gap, I'm just going to let it run a little bit more. Once I've got my drips down the side, I'm then going to go in, just adding that mixture over the top, just spreading it out across the top of the cake. Okay, so the things that we're going to need in order to make the kiss or the lips that are going to go on the top of the cake is, first of all, I've just created a template of a rough lip shape, and I will put a link to this template in the description below the video if you want to use it yourselves. And this one just measures around 5.5 inches across. I've then got some gum paste. Now, for this, I'm actually using the Squire's floral paste, just because we've got that gap in the center and I need my lips to set completely solid so it will hold its shape. And I've colored this in a dark pink reddish color, and I'm going to be using 100 grams. Now, to colour this, I'm using some of that Sweet Stamp pink gel colour, and I'm going to add a small amount of the Christmas red, just because I want a slightly deeper pink for the lips. I've then got my rolling pin, some modelling tools, including my Dresden tool, my craft knife, and also a bamboo skewer. The first thing I want to do is roll out that gum paste. So I want to roll this out so it's quite chunky, around 6 millimeters. So I'm going to place on my template, and I'm going to start by going around the outside. Now, gum paste is quite stretchy, so don't worry too much. It does stretch a little bit out of shape, and we just want to make sure that when we're cutting it out, the top and the bottom lip remains attached. And I'm going to go in and cut out the middle. So there we've got the start of our kiss. Now, what we want this to look like is, if you've ever seen somebody wearing lipstick kiss a tissue or a piece of paper, you get the rough shape of a kiss left behind, but you get lots of different lines that are missing. So I'm going to start just by going around the outside, just smoothing down the edge. I'm then going to go around the edge, just pushing in with the opposite end of my Dresden tool, just so it's not as smooth. And with gum paste, you do need to work just a little bit bit faster than you would if you were using a modelling paste. And then we can start adding some proper detail. So I'm going to take the end of my Dresden tool and working mainly on the inside, I'm going to pull lines in. So if you imagine the curvature of your lips, so they'll be coming round on the side. So I'm just really pulling up, adding in some lines, and again the same on the bottom. Now, when you're happy with how that kiss is looking, I'm gonna take some edible glue and just pop the end of my bamboo skewer. And I'm gonna do this at a slight angle and just push this into the bottom of those lips. And I'm gonna leave this to one side to completely dry so that when we pick it up, it holds its shape. So I've got my lips and they're currently drying. Now, at the moment, they're quite a matte pink and I want them to have a little bit of shine to them. So I've actually decided to use some confectioner's glaze. I'm just gonna run over the top, just getting it into the grooves. Whilst the lips are continuing to dry, this confectioner's glaze is just gonna dry over the top. And one of my tips is as soon as you finish painting on your glaze, you clean your paintbrush straight away as it does dry on them quite quickly. Now, my cake topper I actually left overnight just to set completely, and that floral paste has gone completely hard. So those lips are just holding their shape and that top lip isn't falling down, which is one of the reasons I would suggest if you are gonna make this, then definitely use floral paste as it does set completely solid. We can then add this onto the top of our cake. So here we have the finished buttercream cake with this really pretty XOXO text running all the way around. We've then got the sprinkles and the drip, and the cake is finished off with this really fun lips or kiss cake topper. I really hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial and will be able to use some of these techniques on your own cakes. If you have enjoyed the video, as always, don't forget to give it a like, and if you haven't already and you'd like to see more videos like this, then don't forget to subscribe to the Cakes by Nature YouTube channel. You can also hit that notification bell next to the subscribe button, and this will just alert you every time I upload a new video. Now, I will put links to all the tools that I've used throughout today's video in the description below, along with the recipes and also that 10% off discount code for sweet stamps. So until next time, bye!